Good evening, all. How are you doing? It's a lovely, warm evening here in the UK. I think we managed to hit 9 degrees or something, which is a real improvement from how it's been over the last week. Got a couple of the familiar faces here. Got Anthony, who was first. Congratulations. And we got Lee, who was sad not to be first. Sucks to be you. Hope you're all doing well. Oh, still getting used to Streamlabs. Let me know if my audio isn't coming through. It looks like it should be fine. Hey, Matthew, how you doing? Hope you're doing well on this fine evening. You're at an event this weekend, aren't you? It is slow. Only at 11 people. Have I forgotten to put keywords in again? I've been doing that a lot recently. Alright. Well, we can get started. I don't know if Creekhammer's here, because obviously time zones, but the first list we were going to be looking at is the Wood Elf list. Do make yourself known if you're here, Creekhammer. I figured I'd start with you, given that you are more likely to have timing issues. Let me just double check I'm coming through on my end. Yeah, it seems to be. Let me just double check. Yeah, cool. Alright, sweet. It really is just slow this evening. Alright, let's get into it then. So Creekhammer has gone for Wood Elves. There's a Dragon Lord. There are the fairly standard things that you see in core. And then there's only one unit of Sisters of the Thorn. So I was hoping that, well, you're not as popular as you once were. Mate, I have fallen off quickly. You know, rumors of my demise have been greatly understated. Hey, Kev, how you doing? I'm unfortunately not going to be able to get to your list, Kev, because you were looked at either last week or the week before, I believe. Trying to get a bit of variety in for people who do want to have their lists looked at. I don't know if it's just my my Streamlabs that's slow. Let's have a look here. All right. Well, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah. So I take it that Creekhammer isn't here, but that's fine. We can have a look at what he's got, and then he's more than welcome to leave some comments, and I can get back to him if he's got any thoughts. So, as I was saying, he's gone for the dragon, which I'm not a huge fan of the dragon. It's not bad. It's just a daft idea you're playing with. Yeah, okay. I did see that it had 50 Giselles in, so I might get to that one. Not for a proper review, but just a quick look, you know, just a feast for the eyes. We'll see if we have time. So, there's the Glade Lord with the dragon. I don't like the dragon, but I don't think it's bad. It's more just personal preference. Then we've got a level 4, level 2, 758 points of core, which is a lot. Some Deepwood Scouts and Sisters of the Thorn. I'm assuming that it's deliberate that you haven't gone for 3 units of Sisters of the Thorn, so I'm not going to recommend that you go for 3. You can also drop the Musician if you want to. There's no real harm in taking it. They are a Leadership 9 unit. So the Musician does get them up to Leadership 10 when you rally, because obviously you've got the steadying rhythm that gives you +1 to your Leadership when you're rallying, which is just quite nice. Even though you've got that Leadership 10 bubble on an 18 inches, it's not the end of the world to have a 6-point Musician. Existence is here. Good evening. Good evening to you, Existence. Hope you're doing well. You may notice that I'm wearing civvies instead of my normal team clothing. That's because it's in the wash, because I've got a tournament tomorrow. Don't want to turn up smelling. That's never going to be a good idea. So let's go top to bottom. So if we're going the Dragon Lord, I think this is a little bit of a confused loadout you've gone for. So you've gone for the... let me just double check that I haven't added a shield on for no reason. I have it in the... Fix my list as well. So if I just scroll up. As a reminder, it is priority to channel members as a thank you for supporting, which is why we've gone for Creekhammer first. Yeah, so light armor shield. So first of all, this shield doesn't actually do anything. I know you've gone for the Armor of Destiny, which is heavy armor. But if you combine that with the heavy armor, the light armor and the heavy armor, that just gets you to a 4-up, which is exactly what the Forest Dragon has. So you may as well save the 2 points because you've got full plate here. So we have saved a whole 2 points already. Your list is looking far more svelte. Then you've gone for the 4-up ward with the Armor of Destiny. I don't hate that. That is fine. You can. There are a couple of different ways you can go. I think, personally, if I want to be survivable, I'd be more likely to go for the Armor of Meteoric Iron, which is 20 points, and it's the 5-up armor save that you get all of the time, and then combo it with the Talisman of Protection for a 5-up ward. This is worse against anything without AP, but as soon as you're hitting that sort of AP 2 or 3, it maths out as good or better. Against AP 3, you're saving 55% of the wounds, whereas normally you'd only be saving 50% of the wounds with the Armor of Destiny. And this combo only costs you 50 points as opposed to 70 points, which is, you know, a pretty marked improvement. Where I'd like the Armor of Destiny for Wood Elves is if I wanted to take a second character with a ward save. So if I was going, for example, a Stag Rider with Talisman, and then also going for Armor of Destiny Dragon. I don't think that's necessarily something that I want to do, but it is one of the options available to you, so something to play around with. So, Giant Blade. This is... people play it, so I'm not sure if it's just I am wrong. I'm super not convinced. So, it's Strength +1, getting up to Strength 5. Armor Bane 2, but no AP. So 6 is to wound, you've got AP 2, which is fine, and then all the rest of your wounds are terrible. And it's magical attacks and multiple wounds too. You've also gone for a Resplendent of Luminescence, which is magical attacks. So you've gone for double magical attacks. So I think if you're going tanky, the way that I would build this is, I always think you should go... like, if you want to index into the tanky character for combat, Befuddlement of Mischiefs, Annoyance, and Netlings. That's the sort of the go-to combo. I think it's fair to say, given that you've gone Giant Blade, you're not looking for like a super killy melee unit, at which point I'd say just go Great Weapon. You've already got a 4-up ward, 4-up armor save from your full plate on the dragon. You've got your 4-up ward from the Armor of Destiny, which is better in some respects, obviously more expensive. So you could swap this out and save 20 points and just go for the Armor of Meteoric Iron and the Talisman of Protection. In fact, we'll do that, and then, you know, potentially we'll come back to that. Because there are times that having a 4-up ward is better than a 5-up armor save that can't be reduced, and a 5-up ward, you know, against Vile Tide, for example, that turns off your armor save, that sort of stuff. But, yeah, does Luminescence make the dragon's attacks magical too? I don't think it does. Let's just double check the wording on that. So, Forest Sprites. This model in any unit is joined. I guess it does, yeah, so you get magical dragon attacks. I don't know that that makes much of a difference. Can't stick around, excited to watch this later. Hell yeah. Yours is next up. I just want to address, you said abusing your membership to... hold on, what was the exact wording? Exploiting your newfound member status to get my licks fixed. No, it's not an exploit at all. That's it's you know, works well for me, because if people want to get their lists done, they're more likely to become members of the channel, which is obviously great and appreciated. But it's my way of giving back to people who do support me. It's something that I'm very happy to do. So yeah, if you... how long into the video? We're 15 minutes. I reckon when you come back, Skulls, if you skip about 30 minutes in, we'll be talking about your list. Fred Smith, can you use the Armor of Destiny ward if you're using the dragon's full plate save? Can't you only pick one set of armor at a time? That's a very good point, Fred. That is a fantastic point. And I normally don't have a ward save on my armor. So good spot there. But that makes it even better to go for the Armor of Meteoric Iron and the Talisman of Protection. So this is the loadout that I think I'd recommend. It's 50 points. It gives you a 5-up, 5-up. They can't be reduced. Yeah. Oh, Skulls, but you bought a 3D printer. Cool. That's good to know, because no. So you want to go wild. That's good. That's good. We'll come up with that. We'll see what we can do. So on here, yeah. So for the Glade Lord, I think the way I'd look at this is Great Weapon with the tanky loadout we've gone for. So the Annoyance, the Befuddlement, the Armor of Meteoric Iron, the Talisman of Protection. We did previously have. Let me just double check how many points Krieg had put into it. 537 points. We're currently at 509, so we're also going to put on... we can't get the Resplendent Luminescence. That is a little bit of a shame, because I wouldn't mind magical attacks on this character, yeah, it does leave you a little bit shy into the Green Knight. Yeah, I mean, you can play around with loadout. You've got 50 points to go for a magic weapon if you really want to. I don't think I would. Like, especially, like, I really don't like the Giant Blade. I'm not a huge fan. And on Strength 4, I don't really like the Biting Blade. If I go defensive on my Dark Elf Dragon, I go for a Sword of Might. It gets you 4 attacks at Strength 5, AP 1, which is not good, but it's also not terrible. And it lets you use a shield. But... yeah. Ah, that Ras bastard. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Yeah. Okay. So this is the 509 point loadout for the Glade Lord. We're just going to keep that for the moment. We have got then next up. We have got a Spellweaver level 4 and a Spellsinger level 2. Both of these have talismanic tattoos. I would, unless this is a flavor choice, in which case, you know, if it is, cool, keep it. And talismanic tattoos are a 6-up ward against any wound suffered. I'd just be dropping them. That saves you 30 points. That's a lot. When you've got quite expensive models, it's nice to just get out there. Old World Oracle says, Dragon Slaying Sword might make sense. Yeah, that's true. You've only got 4 attacks. I am not a fan of this item, or the various equivalents, because it's a real lottery, and into most things, it doesn't do anything. The Killing Blow and Monster Slayer versions that you can get, like, for High Elves are a little bit better, but I still don't love them. It depends on your local meta. If you're playing into, you know, tooled up Chaos Lords and Dragons every game, and you're like, oh, I just want something to threaten them, then yeah, the Dragon Slaying Sword becomes a better choice. We're seeing less dragons as well because of the poison shooting, but your mileage may vary depending on your local meta. So back to the level 4. You've gone Battle Magic, Lore Familiar, Ruby, Ring of Ruin. This is all fine. I like this. The problem is you've then got a level 2 that is Battle Magic as well with no upgrades. So you've got Glade Riders with Reserve Move. I think the game plan here is to put both of these in a unit and then sort of fire and flee. You move out from behind a wood, you shoot all your shots, you cast your spells, then you move back into a wood. If that's the case, what I'd be looking to do is go Battle Magic on the level 2 with the Lore Familiar, because that way you're guaranteed to get the spells that you want. I really like a Power Scroll with this, because it means when you're trying to cast that really pivotal spell, whether that's Arcane Urgency or if that is Pillar of Fire, whatever you're trying to get out early on, the Power Scroll just means you're very likely to get it. And then over here, you drop the Power Scroll, the Lore Familiar, which does suck a little bit. Don't get me wrong. You're just dry rolling 4 spells, but that's still okay, because you've got a pretty good chance of getting good spells. Hammer Hand is not something you want in this list, but you will take Tree Singing, because you want to give yourself mobile cover. Fireball is great. Curse of Air Attraction is great for Wood Elves. Pillar of Fire is great. Arcane Urgency. This is the number 1 spell you're going for. If you don't roll it on your level 4, if you go with this setup, you pick it with your level 2. You have to take it. It is such a, like, bail your ass out of the fire. If you miss position, you can just get out of it. If your opponent somehow sets up some mad play, you can Arcane Urgency away. I think this is incredibly strong on any army that has Skirmish especially. Oaken Shield, this is fine. I often don't cast it, but sometimes you just have to expose yourself. And then Curse of Cowardly Flight, I'm never picking it, but if you have it, some armies will really struggle into it. Anthony says, if a prince changes his weapon into Great Weapon, does he still get rerolls on the 1 High Elf army? From memory, it's only hand weapons that get the rerolls for High Elves. They have one of the worst versions of the reroll, or, you know, just buff to hand weapon rule. Alright, so here we've got 88 points available. How many points did Krieg spend? 950. So we've actually saved a fair chunk of points. How have we managed to do that? So, oh, the talismanic tattoos, dropping those, yeah, that's really good. And the Glade Lord was a little bit cheaper. So what we've done is I think we've gotten a more efficient character setup, but we've also saved 38 points, which is great. Again, if you wanted to go for talismanic tattoos, you could put them back on if it's a flavor choice. But again, you've also got 2 battle magic casters. You might end up with Oaken Shield anyway. Old World Oracle just played your S-Bot game against Wood Elves with a level 4, had Elementalism, turned out to be really good. Both Wind Blast and TMP saved him multiple times. Elementalism is a real consideration. The sort of obvious path to build down is to go Pillar of Fire, which is really strong. But I think if you're going triple Pillar of Fire with your you're not Deepwood Scouts, your Sisters of the Thorn, you kind of maybe don't need that, and Elementalism is good as well. The problem with that is if you go for a level 4 with Elementalism, you really have to go pick Lore Familiar on it, which means you can't realistically take a level 2 and expect them to do anything. So it just limits your output a little bit, because a level 4 Battle Magic caster, I'm pretty willing to roll. A level 4 Elementalism caster, I really want that Lore Familiar. Jacko, Wood Elves, the army you wait for. Hell yeah. Well, you didn't have to wait today. It's here immediately. So characters, we can say this is a fairly standard loadout if you wanted to go for the dragon plus double caster. I personally not a huge fan of the dragon, but it's a great centerpiece model, and it's not bad. It's just it doesn't do what I want from a dragon, which is to be stupidly tanky. Into your core, first note here is you've got 758 points of core. That is a lot of core, and it is more core than I want in my lists. So you've got the 8 Glade Riders. They have got Standard and Musician. If this is the unit that the double characters are going into, I'd put a Glade Knight in. What it does is it just lets you challenge. That's the main thing here. You've got the Hagbane Tips, which are great. Reserve Move is great. And you've also gone for Banner of the Hunter King, which I guess lets you get into Dispel range turn 1 more. Or, alternatively, maybe you're putting the casters in the 5 model squad who don't have Vanguard, and this is just to sort of get them into a better shooting spot. So I would put a champion in whichever unit you attach the characters to. I'm just going to say maybe it's the 5 model squad, so we're going to go with that one. They both have Reserve Move, they both have the Hagbane Tips, all the good stuff there. Then there's 10 Glade Guard. You have to take at least 1 unit, and they come minimum 5. And then 2 units of 10 Deepwood Scouts. These, you've gone for Arcane Bodkins. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't love that personally. I think for me, all of the shooting is Hagbane Tips. That's just my sort of default go-to. If I want to then play around with AP, I'm going to take an Elementalism caster. I'm going to go Plague of Rust, and I'm going to try and, get the save through in that way. Just the poison shooting is so strong. You're realistically going to be shooting your scouts at -2 a lot of the time anyway, so the better ballistic skill is fine. It means that you're hitting... Oh, you're not even a better ballistic skill, are you? No, you're just hitting on 5s. Hitting on 5s, wounding on 5s into T4 stuff, and then being at AP -2. That's just not enough, in my opinion, a lot of the time. Also, I think between here, these Deepwood Scouts, I would even out the numbers a little bit. For me, I'd be looking at going 8s, because that's, multiples of 4 is just very strong. It's good in terms of you're less likely to panic. So here, if you're 10, you need to go down to 5 before you panic, so you need to take 3 casualties. If you have 2 models survive, you don't give up any points in them at the end of the game. Just multiples of 4 are generally the best ways to do things, and that frees up points to turn these units into units of 8 as well. So if we do that, that gives us 30 points left to spend. And at that point, the world's kind of your oyster. You can do what you fancy. You could go Elementalism with this caster here, and then if you're doing that, you're probably dropping the level 2. So we'll leave this as it stands for now. I think if I'm looking to fill 30 points, maybe I'm going a Glade Rider, and is there anything else that I want to pick up here? So there's Musicians on the Deepwood Scouts, but not on the other units. So maybe go Deepwood Scout, Musicians, drop a Glade Rider down, or just drop the Glade Knight. Yeah, this might be something along these lines is probably what I'd go with for the Wood Elf list, while keeping to the core. I didn't want to just take out units and add different units, but do ping me in one of the chats if this doesn't really line up with what you were thinking. Happy to go over it, make any adjustments that you think, or if there's anything that you want to explore as well. Do just give me a shout, and I will go over that one with you as well, bud. So if we put that in chat there, that is the Creek Hammer, and I've just put that into the Fix My List chat as well. Perfect. All right, nice and easy. So number 1 done, and then we've got Skulls, Tzeentch, Warriors of Chaos. So there was some context given to this one. Let me read this out for you. I'm a new player coming to the old world from Total Warhammer, and I want to model/paint the Severed Claw and Doom Knights of Tzeentch. So basically want a viable list with some sort of Tzeentch Warriors and Tzeentch Knights. That's cool. So I haven't... Hey, sneaking in a lunch break. Hell yeah, that's amazing timing, because I was not... Like, we've literally just got onto you. So, you said the Severed Claw. That was... The Severed Claw. I haven't played Total War, but it is on my list of things that I'd love to play. So Total War, as you can see here, we've got a very small picture of what looks like a Chosen of Chaos with a halberd. Halberd infantry, okay. And that is it. So we know there's halberd infantry, and they've got units that you'd expect to see. You can take demons as well, but I don't think that's really gonna... Okay, that's startlingly unhelpful. It's a Tzeentch Regiment of Renown. I think the other one you said was Playable Factions. Let's have a look here. You did give me the name of another one, which was the Doom Knights of Tzeentch. Doesn't seem to be in here, but I can guess what that is. That is Knights of Tzeentch as well. What is this site called? The one that I'm using for the list building is called Old World Builder, and then the other site I was on was just the first link on Google for Total War Wiki. So, you've gone for some interesting choices. And given this is a themed list, I don't necessarily hate them, but I think there's some changes to be made. So you've gone for some more efficient choices. Mark of Khorne Chaos Knights, for example. Then you've gone for a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of marks. So you've got some Slaanesh as well. You want to try and make Tzeentch Chosen work. So the Tzeentch doesn't actually add much to them. Gives them flaming attacks, which is... It's a side grade. It could be argued to be a downside. Gives them Magic Resist 1, which is nice. It's, you know, not bad. And it's also +1 to their casting. So I think if you want to go with Tzeentch Chosen specifically, not Tzeentch Chosen Knights, I think a foot character like the one you've got here is probably the way to do it, and we just sort of play around with that. So that's the theme we can go with. So given that you're Tzeentch, having 3 casters I think works quite nicely as well. And you've gone for some other marked units in core. Are you happy with that, or would you prefer to go pure Tzeentch? It is going to be more efficient if you're happy to go with the slightly more meta choices of the Khorne Knights and the Slaanesh Forsaken. Assuming that you are, what I would do is just knock these down to 4s, because 4s are just efficient. You know, they're cheap, 124 points. They hit hard. They've got 2 attacks each. Yeah, job's good. Forsaken, if we just go... Oh, that's a little bit annoying. So if we go up to 8... Oh, this works actually quite nicely. So I think 5 Forsaken is too few. If you go up to 7 is probably my ideal number, and then 8 is pretty good as well. It doesn't get too unwieldy. And if we give the Warhounds Vanguard as well, that nicely gets us up to 500 points. I'm fine with core being efficient. You have to put 2 wizards in the unit and give one the +1 to cast and the other Infernal Puppet. Then they can both cast +6. Good to see you, Ginger Steve. Yeah, that is definitely one of the things you can do. You can go... I like that more if you're going for like a caster blaster bunker, where you're just going to sit there, you're going to cast 2 magic missiles and a pillar of flame. That's definitely one of the approaches. But if we're going for more making the chosen like pull their weight, I think we can play around with that. So here's the problem. 7 Chosen Knights, that's a good number. You probably want to go 6 to 7 Chosen Chaos Knights. However, you have them equipped with not much. So you definitely want to give them Lancers and Shield. You want to give them full plate as well. You've given them Mark of Tzeentch. Drilled is fine, but it's kind of optional. And you've given them Icon of Darkness, which is -1 to hit when they're shot at. I think that's fine. I think... what I would do, because you've also gone for a banner on the Chosen on foot, which is to reroll their 1s for their armor saves. So if I'm going for expensive standards, which I don't necessarily love, but we can come back to that, I'm going to flip those round. The Icon of Darkness goes here for -1 to be hit, because they're only rocking a 4 up save. Do they have shields as well? So they're rocking up 3 up save, which is fine. But the Chosen have got a 2 up save with the full plate. That's really important. And then the Lancers just means that they actually hit hard as opposed to doing not as much as they should. So we're going to get rid of Icon of Darkness here and give them the Blasted Standard. Again, might come back to the banners because I think you struggle to fit everything in. Skull says, Stacky Icon of Darkness and Diabolic Splendor. See, that is on paper great. The thing that you'll find is there's not actually all that much ballistic skill shooting that's super scary. Not to stuff with, you know, incredible armor saves anyway. So if you've got a 2 up save, you're probably not super worried about handgunners and crossbows. You might lose a couple of models, but it's more stuff like cannons, grudge throwers, that sort of artillery that's going to cause you issues. Jacka says, is 72 Glade Guard too much? I mean, give it a go. Just drown them in weight of arrows. That's definitely one of the ways that I have wondered if Wood Elves could be played. I haven't put it together, but give it a shout. Give it a go. So here, Chosen, I think if I'm going for a Chosen, if I want to make Chosen Knights work and I'm playing Tzeentch, I specifically want my caster to be in there. So we've got a Marker Tzeentch caster here. You've gone for the Chaos Steed, which is fine. Demonic Knight Mount would be nice, but we're going to be strapped on points, so we're going to have to come back to that. It gets expensive going to the gifts. Yeah, that's the problem. So Diabolic Splendor is probably 35 points, -1 to be hit. I don't know that I'm super bothered about it. I think I would take it off and try playing without it, because you can always, like, gifts are super easy to put into lists. You can always make some tweaks and put those back in. Okay, so casting. I'm not thinking that you go battle magic. I'm thinking you go demonology. If you want to play the I'm going to make Chosen and Chosen Knights work, we're gonna do it properly. We're gonna have an absolute slapper of a bunker, which means we're probably just gonna drop the Ruby Ring of Ruin, and controversially, gonna drop the Spell Familiar and go for the Lore Familiar. Reason for that is there's not a huge number of great spells in this lore. So Demonology. Demonology has the Summoning, which you're probably not going to swap into. It's got Steed of Shadows, which you probably will swap into. Like, you'll choose this one, because that's going to give your Chosen Brick fly and the ability to move fast. So that's pretty good. Gathering Darkness. This is pretty terrible, unless you stack it with Necromancy, which you can't do. Demonic Familiars is like a 4th spell you might swap into. It's 2d6 strength, 2 hits with no armor save. That's fine. It's an assailment. You're going to be in combat, so maybe you take it as a 4th spell. The item that allows you to pick your 4 spells a turn. Are you talking about Lore Familiar there, Skulls? That's the sort of generic magic item that lets you pick your spells that we've gone for. Demonic Vessel. This is why you'd go for the Lore Familiar. It gives you +1 strength, attack, and AP, and it's the caster and the mounts as well. So your mounts will be hitting with 2 attacks at strength 5, AP 1, which is pretty solid, and your knights will be attacking at 3 attacks at strength 7, AP 3, which should kill most things. Even the Sorcerer Lord is aggressively fine. Vortex of Chaos, I'm not going to pick. Demonic Vigor gives you +1 toughness. Movement is nice as well for dodgy charges, but it's mostly toughness. You know, you can charge in, take less punch back when you go into something that's hard as nails. You can then go for Enchanting Aura for Strikes Last, which is fine. I think let's leave that for now, but this character does need some way to survive, so we're going to give it a magic item that let you do that. You can either go Armor of Meteoric Iron, or you can go for one of the regen items. I'm going to start off with the Talisman of the Carrion Crow. Gives you regen and poison attacks. It's pricey. It might be too pricey for us to fit in, but, you know, we'll play around with it. So you've got your level 4 here, who is supercharging the Chaos Knights. Then we've got the Sorcerer Lord, who is... let's have a look here. Enchanting Aura. So I like Strikes Last more on a foot character, because you're less likely to get the charge off. So here, again, we've got a Sorcerer. What lore did you give this caster? I think you gave it Battle Magic as well. I don't hate Battle Magic here, because you can Arcane Urgency, you can Oaken Shield, so you can get the double move and the 5-up ward. it gives you some flexibility because obviously you don't have much in the way of shooting or any really shooting as a Chaos player. So being able to deal with that is quite nice. Just having 2 magic missiles potentially in a Pillar of Fire, depending on the matchup, that's one of the options. So I don't hate the spell familiar there. You could go Ruby Ring here. We'll put that on and we'll see. I think you might struggle to go with 3 characters. I think if you want to fit in the Chosen Knights and the Warriors, you kind of have to cut one of the characters. But we'll I guess get to that there. So what do we got? So we got the level 4 who is on foot. Again, you could go Demonology. I don't think I love a second Demonology caster, honestly. You could go Dark Magic purely for Battle Lust, for the +1, you know, for Frenzy and Hatred. That doesn't feel great. I think here, again, we're literally just looking at it and going, okay, what can we do? We've got a Strike's Last Aura on this unit, and we're going to give them, you know, a 5-up ward. That seems pretty okay. And then you've got the option to go into shooting. And then the Chosen. So you've got full command here. You don't really need any upgrades. You've got halberds, full plate, shields, Marcasine drilled. Drilled is really nice on infantry, especially when you can fly 12. You'll be able to march 36 if you need to, or redress to face correctly. You're still going to struggle to face up nicely. But I think you probably want to go bigger on the unit of Chosen. I can't imagine that you'd want to go less than, I don't know, 13 maybe? Because that gives you 2 racks of 7 when you put a character in there. Like, they hit really hard, but they are still only 1 wound models with a 3-up save and a 5-up ward, which is, it's good, don't get me wrong, but they will die. And also, by the time you've put the command in and the drilled and everything else like that, you kind of, the expensive part is the command and the upgrades. Ian says, curious with Dark Riders and the Blackstaff specifically, do you always favour the choose spells item over helping cast? Blackstaff is good, but RNG. I don't take the Blackstaff at all. I think if I'm playing Dark Elves, I am looking for specific spells. The event I'm going to this weekend, I'm taking Spell Familiar, and I'm rolling 5 spells, and I don't feel great about that. And you can't combine that with the Blackstaff, unfortunately. But you can combine it with Focus Familiars, and it's more important to be able to get the spells that you need. Also, Dark Elves, you've got a once per game reroll, so you've got a little bit of flexibility in there. Just being able to pick your spells is so strong. It gives you real consistency that I value. Okay, so what do we got here? I think as it stands, one of the characters goes away. So I think this is sort of where I'd start. And then maybe you just go like a BSB. God, that's expensive. You also can't go that. You'd have to go an Aspiring Champion. So you go BSB, War Banner. Maybe just go with the Khorne unit there as well. Something like this is fine. The Demon Prince definitely is essential. Yeah, I like the theory of... I don't think I'd do it, but I like the concept of making him a level 1 caster, just so you can give him the... Oh, we haven't got Infernal Puppet in this list. That does suck. Infernal Puppet is very good. Maybe the BSB Dream is dead, so we just go... I think... It would have to be this character, right? Like him if you have the points. Yeah, that's fair. Great model as well. I need to do something with the one that I have. So here's... Maybe you go... The foot character is the one that you give Infernal Puppet, because it's less likely to be in combat, but turn 1, you're going to Steed of Shadows that unit up the board. Completely makes sense. I'm always drawn by extra dice. Hey, if you're lucky and you just roll all the spells you need, it's great. I just... I like going to the game and knowing what my battle plan's going to be before I... Infernal Puppet is a pain with Blackstaff. Is Blackstaff rolled an extra dice? I know it's a casting buff, but I can't remember exactly what it does. It's something in that realm, I think. Yeah. Okay, so here, just going back to the Sorcerer Lord. So the General, let's give him a Demonic Mount. It does mean that you stick out the unit, but you get that extra wound, take you up to 4 wounds. And you've got a 4-up save because you've got Barding on the Demonic Mount. Is that correct? No barding. Oh well. It doesn't make much difference. +1 wound is better than barding. You've got a 5-up save, but then you've got a 5-up ward from your Chaos Armor and a 5-up regen from the Talisman of the Carrion Crow. Running forward is coming. Oh, yeah, 46 for miscast. That sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. So here's kind of the basics of the list. And I think if you're going for it, the easiest way to make the list just do what it wants to do better is just go up to 16 Chosen Warriors. You could go 2 ranks of 8, a rank of 7. You know, there's various ways that you can put it. You're not really looking for the rank bonus with this. You're mostly just looking to teleport them up the field or march them 24 or 36 inch up the field and then, you know, position to charge something on the next turn. The Strike's last aura from Enchanting Aura is very strong because it means that even if your opponent charges you, they're going to be striking at best at the same initiative because you're initiative 4 with your halberds. This is where Slanesh would be really strong, but you're specifically looking to play around with Tzeentch, so we're sort of sticking to that. Okay, so yeah, that is the Warriors of Chaos list. I'm assuming that you might not be here at all points, so feel free to, if you have any questions, you know, shoot me a message and we can do some more refining if you need to. Third list, and we've gone spicy here. We've got Wood Elves, Warriors in Chaos, and now we've got Demons of Chaos, which is nice. We've got some interesting variety in armies. Because I did just pick, you know, chronologically in terms of what people put in, apart from the members. So this is a 2,000 points list from Harry Shez. But the demonic gifts, they're just coded as items, which is not how it goes, because it should have twin heads here. So Twin Heads is an upgrade that gives you +1 spell known. Iridescent Corona gives you -1 to be hit, just in the shooting phase. Power Vortex is enemy wizards within 24 inches, a -1 to cast. This is pretty solid. It's an illusion caster, so you're looking to go with the Spectral Doppelganger Great Weapon combo, which is really snazzy. Apart from that, it is -1 to cast it in Aura, and there's some other combos in here as well we'll get to in a second. Yeah, like this is fine. I like the Lord of Change. He is squishy, he doesn't have a save, he only has a conditional ward save. But that's kind of the problem with demons. You've got to stick with that. Let's just have a look. Oh, yes, Scods. So if I was to drop the Knights for Dragon Ogres, would that be more competitive? Yeah, like Dragon Ogres are just good. You could drop your entire special for Dragon Ogres, and the Dragon Ogres would be better. But if you want to play around with the theme, you can do worse than going like a unit of Chosen Cavalry, and maybe if you wanted to go, sorry, if we just go back to your list, like another version you could go, and this is not optimal, this is building around the theme, you could go a big unit of Chaos Warriors with halberds. They are squishier, they are much less punchy, and then maybe you put a Demonology caster in there, and you run the Chosen Knights unsupported. You know, you could play around with it in that way, and that fills up your core points while still letting you take Dragon Ogres, because that's 400 odd points that are tanky-ish, pretty killy, but very slow. And instead, if you had Dragon Ogres, that's going to be better. But you could also have a big brick of infantry that you can buff up with your Tzeentch caster in the core slot. Jacka says, in tournaments, you roll spells on each round, or you get to choose them. You have to roll them each round. Okay, so back to the demons. So Lord of Chaos, Lord of Change. It's a level 4 caster. It's Tzeentch, so it casts at +1. So it's knows 5 spells. It's casting at level 5. And Iridescent Corona means that if you're within 24 inches... Sorry, Power Vortex means if you're within 24 inches, you're -1 to cast. Also, Demonic Herald of Khorne, which has the Great Standard of Sundering. This is -1 to cast if an enemy wizard can draw line of sight to the model. And it's on foot, but it has Winged Horror, so it can fly 8. And it's a BSB. So this is like almost 200 points, which is very expensive for a conditional -1 to cast. I see what you're going for, but I don't know that I'm super excited by it, because you're putting this combo together to make your opponents -2 to cast, which is cool. And for that to work, you have to be in range with the Lord of Change to dispel. So in theory, you're dispelling pretty much everything. Here's the problem. What if you come up against Heralds, or you come up against someone who's casting on 3d6, you know, Power Scrolls or whatever? It doesn't do much there. Like, it's good, but it doesn't shut down the best casting, which is, I think, what you'd be building around. A spell familiar equals Tome of the Sea. I'm not. I feel like I've missed something. I don't know what I did to be mocked by everything is now Heralds of the Sea. And I don't mind being mocked. I just don't know what it was that I did to get to this point. So, this Demonic Herald, it's 200 points for a conditional -1 to cast on a very squishy model, because it's 2 wounds T4 with a light armor, so 6 up save, and then a conditional 5 up ward. It also can't join the Furies because they are different. So this is heavy infantry, and because the Furies are skirmish, they don't have anything else. They can only skirmish, and they're regular infantry. They can't be in the same unit. So you can screen, you can have him nearby, but that still makes me worried. Like a Pillar of Fire is just going to eat that Herald for breakfast, for example. So I think I'd immediately get rid of this, but we're going to leave it in because it's the theme that you've gone with, and maybe you can illuminate us a little bit as to why it's super good. Then you've got the Demon Prince, and again, the problem with the Demon Prince is you've gone for so much here to fulfill a specific role that you're skimping on the Demon Prince. Like, you haven't even gone for heavy armor, you're still on light armor, you've gone for battle magic with no upgrades at all, and that is... it's a lot of points for something that I'm not super in love with. Core units, you've gone for Furies. You've gone for 3 units of Khorne and 2 units of not Khorne. And they're all slightly weird unit sizes. So we'll make some tweaks here. And then you've gone double Skull Cannon. Skull Cannons, I think, are interesting. I think they are just a standard cannon. So Strength 8, AP 2, Armor Bane 3, I think. Let's just have a look here. Strength 8, AP 2, Armor Bane 2, multiple wounds D3. So yeah, it's the bad cannon, but it's still a cannon, which is pretty solid. It is on a chariot, which is fine. It can do a Scattershot breath weapon, which is odd, instead of the normal, artillery dice worth of shots. I'm not really sure why it has this. But yeah, that's one of the options. Ian says, how do I submit a list for this? My first time catching it, and I'm working on something in the Nottingham GT. So, on the Discord, link down below, when I am doing a Fix My List stream, what I will do is on the day, I'll put it in chat and let people know. And the order for priority is members who haven't submitted the list in the last 2 shows, general viewers who haven't submitted a list in the last 2 shows, and then it goes on to, people who have submitted lists. So, anything that's put in today won't be seen. I've already got my list picked out. Just going on that priority. But I think I'm going to aim to maybe do these fortnightly, because people do seem to like them. So yeah, this character slot is, I think, clunky, and it doesn't do quite what I want it to do. This core unit there's a lot in there, and it doesn't do quite what I want it to do, and then the rare is good. I like this. So changes. First change I'm making. Let's go down to 8. 9s I don't think I see a purpose for. Is 9 the number of Khorne? It might be. And then also just make them all Khorne. And just make them all 8s to start off with. So we've got 5 units of 8 here, and that's still above your minimum core requirement. And that leaves us 70 points. You've submitted a list but may not... Oh, yes, Heathen General. We will be getting to yours. Are you struggling for time commitments? I will get to yours next if you're going to be here for the next 30 minutes or so. Yeah, so changes here. I think the Furies are great. They're the best core slot you can go for. The blessed number. Yeah, I think 8 might be Khorne. In which case, nice and flavorful. If we're keeping this combo in, it's like the Demon Prince. It feels so stymied. Like, I think it's a real difficult thing to get through. I don't like having an unupgraded character that is just dry rolling battle magic and has no other purpose. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm fine with leaving this in, but I'd almost be more interested to go... what do we want to go? Khorne gives you +1 strength. I don't think that's super necessary. Slanesh gives you... I mean, you can leave it Zinch just because... Actually, you're not getting any benefit from your general being Zinch at all, so... Maybe you just go Slanesh? Let's just remind ourselves what the law is. So Plague Wend is not super useful. Him is not useful. Pink Fire is not useful. Tzeentch is probably the best one because you can go for the Hex. So if we leave you as Tzeentch level 4, I'd be more like interested in rolling on Dark Magic, I think, because you got a couple of things in there. Battle Lust is very good with the Furies. Then you've got a couple of assailment spells as well. It's just like this character setup's awkward, but if you're not here, I don't want to just take it out and not build around the theme that you're going for. But let's say that we're sticking to that then, and we're going to go, we've got 70 points left to fill, at which point you're kind of struggling. 70 points doesn't buy you very much in Demons. So the answer might just be to buff one of these up. Right, so there's not quite enough to get another 8. So if we just go, it's not ideal, but we could go down to 7, duplicate. Yeah, something like this is fine. And that gives you, it keeps to the same theme. And we've kind of just made it more efficient. If you do see this and it doesn't line up with what you were thinking, just ping me and we can maybe look at some other tweaks for that. Not on stream, but I can just, message you. Okay, so we'll move on to Heathen General's Beastmen, because you're here and you said it sounds like you might not be here later on. So, yes, that was it. So you've got a Beast Lord on Chariot, who has got the Ogre Blade. You've got a Great Bray Shaman, who is on a Chariot as well. You've got a Wargore on foot and a Bray Shaman on foot as well. Then you've got 24 Gore, 17 Bestigore. Don't see those all that often. Chariot, a couple of Razorgore Herds, and then the Minotaurs. So the first thing we're going to look at is this unit here. This is very cute, and I like it. I'm not, like, it's not enough for me to go, I want to play Beastmen. But if you could replicate this, this would be great. Basically, what you've got is you've got 3 Minotaurs that, using Motley Crew, you basically have an entire unit that has a 2-up save. So the way this works is the models can have different armor values. Use the armor value of the majority of the models in the fighting rank. In melee, against shooting, use the armor value of the majority of the models in the unit. The only way this works is if you've got the same number, you just pick or go with the best. It's not specifically spelled out in the rules, but it's the sort of common sense way of doing this. Motley Crew means you can be equipped differently. So you have 1 Minotaur with a great weapon. Minotaurs are fine. Weapon skill 4, strength 5, 3 attacks. So you've got one model that has 3 attacks at strength 7, with a great weapon. And that's pretty decent. And then, so that's a 6-up armor save because all you've got is light armor there. Then you've got a model with hand weapon shield, which is a 5-up save, so a different armor save. But then you've got your Blood Kine, which is your sergeant, and you're equipped with the Blackened Plate, which is a magic item, 25 point. You've also got a 3-up ward against flaming attacks. That's not super important. It's more that you get the full plate here. So that gets you to a 4-up save. You've got a mutation, the Gnarled Hide, which gives you Armored Hide 1. That gets you to a 3-up save because you are still infantry, even though you're monstrous infantry. And then you've also got your shield. So that gets you up to a 2-up save. Then, yes, you're fighting with shields, but you've got Blood Rage, which is you get Frenzy if you pass your Primal Fury on a double 1, and Primal Fury gives you reroll 1s to hit. And is there Foe Render? Yes, there we go. So hand weapons are AP 2 while subject to Primal Fury. So basically, if you pass a leadership test in combat, you get AP 2 hand weapons at strength 5, which is pretty decent. And again, if you're rolling well, you're rerolling 1s to hit. If you roll a double, you are frenzied as well to gain those extra attacks. Although Blood Greed does mean that you're... oh yeah, you get an additional attack. So if you're frenzied, you get up to 5 attacks or 6 on the champion, but you don't pursue anywhere near as far. So it's a really interesting little gimmick unit. And it's 200 points, but it's 9 wounds with a 2-up save. So that's pretty legitimately interesting. And you're monstrous infantry, so you're movement 6. I wish you could replicate this, because I would pay 200 points for this, and I'd try 5 of these. If I could run 5 of these in an army, I would do that. So, you got your Minotaur herd. Then you've got another unit of 2 Minotaurs, and this unit doesn't do anything. This is unlike the unit that's, 9 wounds, T4, 2-up save. This is just 6 wounds, 6-up save. They're going to fall over. So I think immediately this goes away. Then into the core, you've got 785 points. Core is your least efficient way to spend points. I don't think you should go much above 500 points if you can help it, because all of the other stuff that you have access to is really, really solid. So, as always, I'm going to try and stick to the theme that you've built with, but feel free to give comments if there's any way that you want me to specifically to go. Obviously, I know you're here watching. But I don't want to recommend just being like, oh, just delete half of the army and add new models, because people are limited to real-life model collections. Do you have any Dragon Ogres? Because that is, basically, you've got almost 300 points here, and 100 points that we've just shaved off the special. That's 400 points. You do not own any Dragon Ogres. Okay. Then we will not put Dragon Ogres in. If you want to buy Dragon Ogres, if you're looking to make, a Christmas purchase, I would recommend Dragon Ogres. They're very good. But we can stay away from that for now. Yeah, no worries, mate. So, character-wise, you've gone for some spicy choices. So, we'll start off with the Wargore. The Wargore is a BSB with no magic standard. I think I'd just put a war banner on him. If you're going for the commitment of a BSB, I think it's worth going for. You've gone for heavy armor. You haven't gone for... Have I just not put any upgrades on here? It might be that I haven't given him upgrades, but I think there was... Let me just have a look. Yeah, so you had heavy armor, hand weapon. Cool. So I'm thinking immediately you want a shield on here. The easy way to do that is a once per game charm shield 5-up ward, just solid. Always good to have. This gets you to a 4-up save and a single 5-up ward. It makes you a little bit more survivable and it doesn't cost you very much. You're here for the benefits you bring, less so, the great weapon attacks that you could do. On foot is fine. You've gone for Mangelder, which is... Let me just remind myself. You cause terror, and unsaved wounds from this are -1 leadership. So terror doesn't do much on single unit strength 1 models. You can do 2 Gorgons. That is one of the things. I'm not a big fan of Gorgons, but it is an option. So, you can cause units to flee when you charge them, and also you give them -1 leadership when you beat them in combat, and that's quite nice. But it is 40 points for strength +1, AP -1 magical attacks, which is... Do you have foe render? Yeah, your weapon, like hand weapon attacks, would be AP 2. He goes with the Bestigors. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, Bestigors are generally not a unit that you see, but I don't hate them if you want to go, if you want to play them, I think you can play them and just put a lot of pressure in. Okay. So, goes with the Manbane banner, Bestigors. Let me just have a look here. Have I not put a banner on them? Bestigors... Yeah, in the list you posted, there isn't an upgrade. Are they meant to have the Manbane standard? -1 leadership. Okay, so you're stacking the minus leadership. That's interesting. That's cute. I don't hate that. So, we've got the Bestigor here. So if the Wargore is going with the Bestigor, what are the Goreherd doing? Are they unsupported? Are they doing much of anything? Just trying to work out where we should sort of shave points. Because I think the Tuskar Chariot's fine. Just, Chariots, 85 points, heavy chariot, that's good rate for them. Razorgores are really good. They have the Brave Shaman, okay. And then the Warhounds are nice screening. The Ungor are fine little chaff units. I'm not particularly sold they're going to do anything here. They do have short bows, which I've not equipped them with. That's my bad. But, Ballistic Skill 3 short bows are fine, but not super impactful. Yeah, so I think I definitely want to make some cuts in core here. Let's just start off with... Let's just assume that the Goreherd don't actually do much. And we're just going to bring them back to, keep them cheap. And we're still super over on points. So we've got loads to play around with. You said you could go double Gorgon. I think that has issues, but it's definitely one of the ways you can play. So let's start off with double Gorgon there. And that leaves us 300 points over. That's very far over. I don't know that a level 2 Brave Shaman brings very much. Does he buff them in any way just by being in the unit? I don't think he does he? There's nothing here that's... Yeah, it's like Primal Fury you get anyway. I think, just to be more efficient, I don't think the level 2 necessarily makes it into the list. Because you're dry rolling spells and you're not necessarily getting what you need. So we make some cuts here, and then you probably want to cut some points on the here as well. This is quite an expensive unit, but if you want to play around with it, I don't see an issue with that necessarily. That would normally be my advice on what to cut first, but keeping to the theme, maybe it's the Ungor Herd that we drop, because I quite like the solo... The Razor Gore are really good. They're really solid at 50 points. Tuskor Chariot is a more expensive, slightly less appealing Razor Gore, but it's still very good. Warhounds with Vanguard are cheap and cheerful and just nice to have, so I think for my money, I'd drop the Ungor Herds. So that gets you closer. They have the Brave Shaman. You can make them bigger if that's good for them. Yeah, like, I just don't... when you say you can make them bigger, are you talking about the Bestigor or the Ungor? Bestigor's bigger. I think 17 plus a character is probably as big as I'd want to go with them. They are T4, but they only have a 5-up armor save. You know, they've got heavy armor. They've got no way to improve that. You can cast with your elementalism. You can cast earthen ramparts on them to give them a 5-up ward, which is not awful. It does stop them from marching, but you can also combo that with travel mystical pathways, which is pretty solid. Again, you're dry rolling for it, but that's the downside of playing the Hadkree Fetish. It's very good. It is very good. I am a little bit worried about not having a ward save on this character, but if you're going to play a little safer with him, I think you can get away with it, because you have gone for a Beast Lord that just wants to cause some violence. You've got the Ogre Blade, Talisman of Protection, and Uncanny Senses, which is +1 initiative. I don't know that this gives you much, right? Because it gets you from initiative 5 to initiative 6, yeah. And then your initiative 9 on the charge. Is that any breakpoint that you're specifically worried about? I'm just wondering if there's anything that I've missed here. No, that's fine. I'm just trying to think, is there anything that I'd be interested in giving a moment as well? I think you can drop Uncanny Senses, so that's not the end of the world. Gouge Tusks is kind of cute. It gets you to AP3 on the Ogre Blade, but I think that might be overkill. So that puts us at 95 points over, which unfortunately I don't think we're going to get to. Oh, I tell you what. Oh, no, because we are specifically playing around this combo, aren't we? And Slug Skin is expensive, but it is very good. Giving the unit -1 to be hit in combat. No kill like overkill. Yeah, but there's no points like overpoints, right? That's the problem. Razor Gore Chariot. What's the difference on that? So you get 4 attacks from a Razor Gore. Okay, we're not cutting the Razor Gore. That is pretty solid. I know it only gets Armor Bane, but it does have full render. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. The problem I'm having is I really want to get down... I really want to cut the points here so you can get the double Gorgon, because while I don't love them, having 2 of them I think is necessary. So, tell you what, let's just go a little bit mad. So, is there a way to cut 5 points here? No. Oh, you can make them veteran. Veteran is such a good upgrade. I would definitely make them veteran. That's really strong. Even though... Oh, actually, you're going to put the BSB in the squad. You can maybe get away with not doing that. So I'd like to cut 5 points here. And, oh, what if we just cut the War Banner? Okay, here's a version of the list. So you've got your -2 leadership Bestigor unit which is going to hit reasonably hard, is pretty squishy, but you can buff it with the Earthen Ramparts. I always get them the wrong way around. You've got your level 4 caster, who doesn't have a ward save, which makes me a little wary. But it's still just solid. You know, it does what it says on the tin. Potentially double magic missiles with Hag Tree Fetish for the rerolls. Got a Beast Lord. This is kind of the non-standard thing. Often you see characters in these units, but I don't hate it. It's pretty tanky, right? So you've got 3 wounds, T5. That gets you up to 7 wounds. Yeah, so 7 wounds at T5. You've got a... Is it a 4-up save from the Razor Chariot? Yeah, 4 up, 5 up. Tiedemann, how do I make people like playing against my list while crushing their soul? You've just got to be a really engaging player. That's the trick. Yeah. All right, Adam, I think I like this version of the list. I think this looks solid, but feel free to, you know, if there's anything that you'd want to mess around with, feel free to let me know, and we can maybe look at tweaking it. Okay, what's up next? We've got parts Chaos Dwarves. We've got a really fun selection of armies today. I think it's more interesting to do these less played ones, like Demons of Chaos and Chaos Dwarves, than necessarily just looking at the same, here's how you refine, you know, Dark Elves. I'm just going to be like, play the same core every time. Heathen General, you own 9 Minotaurs. 9 Minotaurs in what? The problem with Minotaurs is you can only run a unit of 3 and make them efficient. It's difficult. I won't be reviewing any Bretonnian lists this time round, Marcus. I think I did last week, something along those lines. Not last week, but the last one. Bretonnians, I think they're fairly set in stone. If you're playing Exiles, go for you know, your fighty character with the Falcon Horn and the Frontier Axe on your Royal Pegasus. You put them with a vanguarding unit of 5 Pegasus Knights. You also take either... Well, you probably take a Paladin, sorry, a BSB on a Royal Pegasus. That's really good. You then take either a Caster or a Green Knight. Realistically, probably not both. Core, you have the choice of either going for Knights of the Realm or Yeomen at Arms. I think Yeomen at Arms are much better, but it's kind of personal flavour, personal preference, how you prefer to play. And then you look at taking 2 Bombards and then probably another unit of 3 Pegasus Knights. In Grand Army, you're not looking too far off. You're looking at probably a Duke and a Baron, and then a Green Knight, or a Duke and a Green Knight, and then a level 4 Caster. Some combination there. You have a unit of Pegasus Knights for your characters to attach to. You can go for a second unit, but you don't have to. Then in Core, again, you're probably wanting to lean more into the units of Knights of the Realm, which are not amazing, but they're fine, and you can go bigger units, and you could buff them up with characters if you wanted to. But I don't think there's like a lot to play around with in terms of the sort of standard optimal list for Bretonnians. But if people want to go with themes, and they do submit lists, always happy to talk about those. Okay. Chaos Dwarves. So there was some context to this one as well. Let's just have a look. While I'm scrolling to the context, Adam says, thanks for the help. I have been told that doing 2 level 4... Yeah. So 2 level 4 casters is definitely strong. The reason for that is you go one of them with the Hag Tree Fetish and your general, and you also give them the Lore Familiar. Sorry, not Lore Familiar, sorry, the Talisman of Protection. So that's really hard to kill. You hope that you roll Wind Blast, and you Vile Tide with that. And that's incredible. The second one you put Lore Familiar on. Also you probably want Ruby Ring of Ruin in your list. Sorry, we didn't do that, but you can just tweak points around to try and fit that in. And you just go... You pick Vile Tide with that caster. You also go Elementalism, realistically. You pick the good spells in Elementalism. There are 4 very good spells, and you just kind of go more pressure with your casting. It does mean that you can't go for a Beast Lord as your general, which is fine. I don't think they're not Chaos Warrior, they're sort of Chaos Lord level of characters, so I'm not super upset at losing them. But Yeah, it's a different approach. I think it's probably how I'd build around them personally. But it's very one trick, and I think you could get a little bit bored with them quite quickly. I know that I would. Tanaka, how to play Errantry Crusade, just play something else. I think Errantry Crusade's fine. I think if you want a challenge, because normal Bretts are very strong, you could play Errantry Crusade and level the playing field a bit. But there's definitely options there. There's a lot of violence, and you have veteran across the board, which is very good. So, the context for the Chaos Dwarves. Where's that one gone? I'm trying to build a defensive Chorf list with a sorcerer without a mount and possibly Ironsworn Chaos Dwarves. So, we've been given our reason to be. We've got a war boss who has gone the full tankiness. Normally, you don't put the Talisman of Protection on the war boss because you're going for a Sorcerer Prophet on a Bale Taurus or a Lamassu and you want the ward save there. But since we're not, this is good. I don't think... Hold on, let me just double check. Yeah, no, great weapon on there. Fantastic. So this is just a good setup. This is a war boss who is going to be hitting you for 5 attacks on the charge with a great weapon at AP3 because of choppers. It's just good. It's very hard to kill. It's very cheap for what it brings. Then we've got a Sorcerer Prophet who has no upgrades other than a Lore Familiar, so picking his spells and Elementalism. This is fine. Elementalism is a good lore. Out of the 3 you've got, it's definitely one of the better ones. Demonology is really nice if you're trying to buff up a unit, which we'll get to. Then you've got the Infernal Seneschal, which has Razor Standard. That's interesting. And then there is a level 2 with the Ruby Ring of Ruin and Demonology. So this is going to be a double magic missile caster. Okay, that's a bit of a weird loadout. I wonder what they've got. So Infernal Guard, 10 of them, you have to take them. 5 Black Orcs. 86 Hobgoblin Cutthroats. This is interesting. So this is going to be a big brick. It's going to be 86 models, which is, what, like 9 by... I guess you'd have to go 10 wide to make that legal. That's your really dumb list. Hell yeah, Mattia. I love dumb lists. I love optimizing to a theme. So when I was putting it in, and I didn't look too deep because I didn't want to ruin it for myself. I wanted to sort of break it down as I went. What a chat. Absolutely. Yeah, this is fantastic. So I was putting things in and I was looking, I was like, I don't understand why you've gone Razor Standard on your Seneschal. That's kind of weird. You usually want, volume of attacks for that. And then I saw the Infernal Guard. No, not the Infernal Guard. The Ironsworn, who've got the Lamassu's Beard. I'm like, 11 models that are giving a 5-up ward and magic resist 1 in the shooting phase. I mean, I guess that's fine, but it's kind of whatever. And then I saw the Infernal Guard with the Overseer's Sigil. I was like, oh, hold on, Overseer's Sigil. That's interesting. That's a 9-inch aura of friendly units lose levies. And levies is a difficult thing to get around, which is what Hobgoblins are. Levies, they can't use Inspiring Presence for the General's Leadership, nor can they use the reroll from Battle Standard. However, they don't cause panic. So that's fine if you're using small units, but if you want to build around one, like Death Star to blot out the sun, you definitely want to get rid of the levies. You're not sure if the BSB can take the General's Leadership if it's in a levies unit. Yeah, I don't think it can. I also am not sure. So just getting rid of levies is a good shout. What is the leadership? I feel like it's 9. Oh, leadership 10. Hell yeah, they are dwarves. That makes sense. Okay, so you've got a leadership 10, 86 model unit of Hobgoblin Cutthroats. I don't know if this does enough. It might do. It might do. So they have Backstab, which is a pretty cool rule. You're rerolling hits in flank or rear, but only in melee. They also have Warband, which is nice for the extra leadership, potentially if you're not in range of your general, or, just rerolling charges, because sometimes I guess this unit could charge. You've also got... Horde increases the rank bonus. Warband is the leadership, so I'm combining the two. And then you've got levies, which we're getting rid of with the banner. So I think the way this list works is you go quite wide with this unit, and that's your frontline unit. And behind them, you have the Infernal Guard with the Overseer's Sigil and the Infernal Ironsworn, and they're both buffing the unit. That's a lot of commitment. That is a lot of commitment. Ian says 86. Ian, I don't think 86 is enough. That's how I want to tweak this. Idea is Razor for extra damage, Infernal Guard behind, so no give ground. Yeah. That's a solid setup. So, I think the Infernal Seneschal, the first thing we want to do is make sure it doesn't die, because the BSB is giving you some combat res, and it's your big damage output. So, let's have a look here. What would we do to make this model not die? What would we do? Because he's got no defenses currently. He really doesn't. Maybe just a Charmed Shield. Yeah, just swap that out for a Charmed Shield. And then we'll come back to him, maybe. You're just thinking of the painting, says Ian. Yeah. And Matty says, charge with the Wyvern. Valerie Valov. Hi there, just bought and built my first Old World models from the Tomb King box. Any initial upgrades you'd recommend? It depends what sort of army you want to go for. But that box is pretty good in terms of the base army. If you wanted to go sort of a general army, which is probably the way I'd recommend if you're just getting into Old World, like a grand army list. Something like they're not called Necro Serpents. What's the Necro Sphinx? Necro Sphinx, it's a really good model. It looks amazing. It's pretty solid. You know, it's a good thing that you can slot into most Tomb Kings lists. That would be my go. Hey, there we go. Liam says there's a Goonhammer article suggesting how to build that box in multiple different ways. Did you write that article, Liam? Or are you just recommending it? Either's fine. Okay. You might have written it. I see how it is. You come to my channel, recommend your own stuff. Tisk. Okay. So, yeah. So the Seneschal, I probably want this unit to be a little bit... Yeah, Tomb Scorpions and Nishabti are good recommendations as well. Tom says Chorfs. Oh, terrible army. So I'm having to play against Tom's Chaos Dwarves on tomorrow. I also need to finish building... Well, not building, painting my army. As you can see here, there are some Cold One Riders that have not been finished. So as soon as I finish this stream, I'm going to be painting while editing. Collect what you love, you'll never get bored of them. Hell yeah. Okay. Do we want... This character's going to be on the edge of the unit. Do we care about making him more survivable? Maybe we just kind of suck it up and say, you know, it's T5, it's only 2 wounds, but it does have a 5-up ward and a 4-up save. Or like a once per game 5-up ward. Okay, let's leave it as it is. Demon Smith Sorcerer just as a magic missile bot, I quite like. Don't hate that at all. The level 4 with Elementalism is great. Obviously, you've kind of picked the characters. They all just do what they should do. I don't really have any complaints about the characters. The Razor Standard, I think just the odds of it are maybe a little bit low. But it's... I don't know. I want to build around and maximize this. So, what we're doing here is we're getting rid of the Deskmast. You are taking Infernal Guard because you have to. But you don't like it. So we're going as cheap as possible. We're keeping the Overseer's Sigil. And then for the Ironsworn, we're doing the same thing here. Like, yes, we are taking them. No, we're just going to keep them as cheap as possible. Cool. This frees up a few points. Is there anything else we can drop to get it cheaper? You've gone for 2. This is very good because the Dreadquake Mortar turns off... Where's it gone? Quake, here we go. Turns off Swift Stride. So I think having this is very good, but it is expensive. The Ogre Loader... it's slow to fire, isn't it, the Dreadquake Mortar? So, slow reload. On a 1 to 2, it doesn't. On a 1, if you've got an Ogre, it doesn't. Yeah, you probably have to pay the 20-point tax. Okay. Let's just see how many more models you get at this point. Okay, that gets you to 105. I still kind of feel like you want to go bigger, right? Because your whole game plan is just these plus bombardment. Is there an easy way to get them bigger? I don't think we want to drop the shields here. We don't really want to drop anything from these characters. This might be sort of like the logical extreme as to how you set them up. I think unless you drop the war boss, which I don't think you should do. I think we've kind of maximized it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything else that we can tweak here. Can you actually afford 105 hobgoblins from the 90s? I think I don't think anyone's playing this list with old classic Games Workshop hobgoblins. And if they are, hell yeah, congratulations. You're living a good life. Yeah, I like this. I think this is kind of like the logical extreme of what we've got. I didn't actually have to tweak very much. You've come up with a very good... Yes, it is a sort of silly... I don't even want to call it a silly concept. It is a... Yeah, it's...
Can you do a list with the TK box and other models?
Oh! God, I forgot he was Welsh. Thank you, Valerie. Yeah, I can knock something together in a moment. That's not a problem. You're at like 80 hobgoblins, so you just need a few more fillers. Yeah, unit fillers are absolutely your friend. And I think this is kind of like the logical extreme. No worries, Valerie. I'll do that in a second. I'm a sucker for people who throw money at me. I can't say no to that. It feels rude. Yeah, I think this is kind of like the logical extreme. So let's just copy that text, put it into Discord here. Perfect. And whenever I've finished a list, I do just post it into the Fix My List channel so that there's an easy copy to find. So we've only got 2 more lists after this, but let's just quickly throw together a Tomb Kings list. So Tomb Kings are one that I've looked at a lot, and thus are very easy to put together. So if I'm looking at a Grand Army Tomb King, we've got a general. We are going for a Necrolinth Bone Dragon. God, put my teeth back in. Armor of Destiny is not the one I'm looking for. I've done this loads. Armor of Ages, there we go. So Armor of Ages is light armor, so you're only getting a 6-up save if you use it, but your opponent has to re-roll their 2 wounds against you, which means your T6 on your Bone Dragon, oh yeah, we're going to put you on a Bone Dragon, your T6, so anything that's strength 4 or worse is going to be rolling 6s to wound you, but needing to re-roll, which is very strong. Something to... nice. Let us know how it goes, Mattia. Ian says, I'm trying to throw money at you, but YouTube won't let me join. I appreciate the attempt. Are you on iOS by any chance? I have had some people say that YouTube is a bit buggy for people on iPhones. So just to whiz through here. So you're going to go shield because you've gone for the Armor of Ages, and that gets you up to a 5-up save against shooting. People typically go for a flail, I guess so they can maximize the... My will be done, giving you plus D3 initiative so you can strike beforehand. That's absolutely fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. You're going to go for a Talisman of Protection. That's just strong to have. You know, it gives you a 5-up ward. Yep. So you've got your fairly cheap general, 440 points. You're on a dragon. You've got a good armor and a good ward save there. Matthew says to join an iPhone, have to use laptop to see the options. Yeah, or like open it in your web browser as opposed to on the app. I don't understand why it's so much of a pain in the backside. So then you're going to want at least 1 level 4, and if you're in Grand Army, you're only going to be able to fit 1 in. Then, depending on how you go, there are different ways. Because you've come at this as a new player, I'm not going to recommend the gimmicky sort of style to you. So I'd say you want to go for Lore Familiar. Just as a general point of order, if you're playing a level 4 caster, if you're only taking 1, you almost always want to take Lore Familiar. It's just very strong. You can take the Warding Splint for a ward save, or you could just not take damage. I'd recommend just not taking damage, honestly. Entropy says, hello from Australia. Didn't know you're from Australia, but we do have a big Australian crowd here. Yeah, so if you're going for the Lore Familiar and you're just going for a general, like, all of these are fine. I think if I'm playing Grand Army, I might like... you know, we'll come back to the lore later on. Let's do that in a second. In core, you've got to go with Warriors or Archers. I think... You know what? Grand Army is actually harder to build than I'd remembered. So, what are we going in core? Horsemen are... Not horsemen, sorry. Skeleton Horse Archers are good, and we're going with what you get in the box. So let's just go units of 5 with just warbows. They have reserve move, which is really nice. They have skirmishes and scout, which are also just really good. So a couple of units of those is good. Let's assume that you're just going to try and tie things up. So let's go for a unit of, let's say, 30. And we're going to go... Is there anything that we're super interested in taking here? I don't think there is. No. I think maybe just go Warbanner here for a bit of static combat res. You can go shields. I wouldn't go... fuck it. Let's upgrade them. Why not, eh? So you've got a unit of 30 warriors. It's only 230 points. They've got a 5-up save. You probably go 7 or 8 wide, and you just sort of stack that combat res, and then you resurrect them endlessly. Tanaka says the chariot might be the better choice of the dragon. So I don't think a chariot is a good choice for a new player. The chariot is specifically good if you're putting it inside of a unit. A dragon is quite a good mount for playing outside of that very specific style where you've got a big unit and you've got characters in it, which I'm hoping gets nerfed or fixed. So I don't really want to recommend that, especially to new players. Then what else do you get in the box? You know what? Let's just have a look at the Warhammer. Let's see what you get in this box. Old World. I can remember roughly off the top of my head, but I can't remember exactly. Okay, so we're looking at lots of infantry and horses. Okay, so we're going to try and stick to that as much as possible. So. Let's go for a unit of 3 chariots. Chariots are fine. They're not incredible, they're not awful, but they're pretty decent. And you know what? Let's go for a 3rd unit of skeleton horse archers. Do we do that, or do we just go make this unit a little bit bigger? You know what? Let's just stick to 30. And then we're going to go for a unit of skeleton skirmishers with warbows. And let's buff them up to 7 models, and then you can have the High Priest join. You don't always want the High Priest joining them, but if your opponent's not playing ways to kill the skirmishers, it just keeps them safe. Like, skeleton skirmishers will protect you against small arms fire, like incidental short bow shots, but it won't keep you alive against fireballs and pillars of flame. Special Tomb Scorpions are just really good. I like ambushes, but you can definitely cut it, so let's go 2 of those. And then you could go, if we're playing a sort of grand army, 1 Necrosphinx is quite nice. 1 Casket of Souls is really good. The reason Casket of Souls is good in grand army is you've got... it buffs your casting, which is just very strong, but it has... which one's it called? It's not Unbound Spirits, is it? Nope, that's just for dying. Vortex of Souls. Here we go. So, Lighter Protection, Bound Spell, cast on an 8, it remains in play. Your friendly models within 18 inches get a 6 of ward, which is just really nice when you've got that sort of layered defense of an undead army and you're regenning and you're rezzing. And enemy units within range are -1 to hit you, which is very good. You can't cast the damage spell as well, but that's fine. You're just going to keep this safe behind a wall, cast that, and make your army much harder to kill. How many points did that put? Oh, it's still got 300 points. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat. What else are we talking? Then it's kind of just filter flavor. I think if we go to here, what do we have? So we've kind of used most of the stuff. There is more infantry, but I'm not super in love with just filling your list with more infantry. You could do that, but this is being more efficient. Is Cetra good? Cetra is weird. So if we just have a quick look at Cetra's rules, we've got good leadership, which is nice. You know, he's got 5 attacks. He's pretty okay. He is strength 6, AP 3 with 2-hand weapon. It's fine. But he's also 445 points. He's a chariot. He's T5. He can be in any list. I wouldn't go in, but I don't think you're limiting yourself too much by taking it. Tomb Kings, just as a general army, are pretty good. But you definitely want to take more chariots if you were doing that. So for me, if we're going Grand Army, we've got like a fairly efficient core here. We've got a couple of Tomb Scorpions, a Necrosphinx, a Casket of Souls. You could put in a Screaming Skull Catapult with a Skulls of the Foe upgrade. This gives you anyone within 2d6 of where the shot lands is at -1 leadership. which is really nice if you go with the magic missile from the Casket of Souls, which you won't always do, but sometimes you might. And it leaves you 250 points. God, you get so much. You get so much in here. What do we want to go? Kind of struggling to fill the last of the points. You could go Ushabti are pretty cool. The rest is kind of to flavour, I'd say. So you've got 250 points that you can... It's hard to go wrong with. Ushabti are pretty good. Necropolis Knights and Sepulchral Stalkers are fine. Another Tomb Scorpion's fine. The War Sphinx is... It's a bit underwhelming, actually. I don't love that. But if you like the model, you're not hurting yourself too much by having it. You're kind of running out of space in rare. And you could put in extra characters. You could go for a level 2 Mortuary Priest with Illusion to go in the Skeleton Warriors. That's not bad, because your signature spell is Glittering Robes, so you can make the unit another -1 to be hit, so you stack that with the Light of Protection from the Casket of Souls, so you're -2 to be hit. That's definitely an option. These are the sorts of things that you can go with. Oh, hell yeah! There doesn't seem to be any sound there for that. I don't know why, but thank you very much, Ian. I appreciate that. It does mean that you jump to the front of the queue if you want to submit a list next time round for the Fix My List stream, which I will try and do. Let me just give you the date for the 13th, December 13th. Yeah, so I think this is roughly what I'd go for, and then you put whatever you fancy into finish. Like, a Shabti with bows is probably fine. There are a lot of options you can go with. But there we go. That's sort of the rough list that I would go with for Tomb Kings. Moving on, let's have a look at Dan's list. So this is slightly different. This is a 1,500 point list. And let me just double check. Did Dan say anything specific about what he wanted his list to do? I can't remember if he did. No worries, Valerie. Good luck. And Tomb Kings are a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy them. Also, if you're not in the Discord, do click the link down below. There's a lot of very dedicated Discord Tomb Kings players on the Discord, so plenty of people would be happy to give advice. Dan S says, 1,500 Orcs and Goblin list, thanks. No context, does say thanks. I'll take that, that's fantastic. So, the first thing I noticed, Black Orc War Boss, Talisman of Protection, Trollhide Trousers, Wyvern, Shield. All of this is great. Hand weapon? Let's just give you a great weapon. That's a nice, easy change. Then there's an Odd Knob level 4 who's on Flying Carpet with a Lore Familiar and War Magic. That is interesting. I guess it's to buff up these units as needed. And then there's some Boar Boys, some Squig Hoppers, and a Doom Diver. This is like an Orcs and Goblin good stuff list. This is not going to... Like, all of the things in your army are good. And this is not going to upset anyone when they play against it. In fact, they're probably going to have a great time just seeing that across the table from you. And I don't think there's a huge amount, really, that you need to make efficiency changes with. But we can do some tweaks. So here you've got 34 Night Goblins with Fanatics. You haven't given them any upgrades. So as you can see here, the boss is Leadership 5 as opposed to Leadership 4, so I definitely put a boss in there. I also like a Musician. They are quite likely to run, so Steadying Rhythm gives them +1 Leadership on the rally, which is just nice to have. You've given them Hand Weapon and Shields, that's fine. I think I'd pay the point to give them Short Bows so they can actually do something other than just standing around. At this point, you might drop a few because we have gone above, so, 30 is the lowest you'd go, right? And then Black Orcs, potentially... Flying Carpet was the theory early, but dies to Pillar, etc. Drop that. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But what if he hasn't modelled with an actual Flying Carpet? Kind of just excited to see someone. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I can't in good conscience leave that in, can I? Let's swap it for a Ruby Ring of Ruin, because that's good. Should go in a unit instead in most cases. Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. War Magic is pretty solid because you can obviously pick up the Bad Moon, Evil Sun Shining for the AP and rerolling ones to hit, and then you've also got the Lore of Mork, which gives you Itchy Nuisance, which is a Hex, -D3 to Toughness, and Initiative on the target. So both of those are really solid, and the same caster can cast both of those. So here we're up to 1522. Orc Boar Boys, they're pretty good. You've gone for the Dethinking Orcs hat. I could drop that. I could see you dropping that. It does mean you get to choose whether to charge, but what sort of orc player are you if you're choosing to charge? I think ball boys are so cheap and they hit so hard that it's rare that I'm super worried about them charging when I don't want to. So I think that's where you maybe shave the points. And then you've got the night goblins. You haven't given them light armor or cavalry spears. Honestly, I think I'm fine with that. That's, yeah. So this is, like, there's not very much changed here. Just slight changes on the characters, slight changes in the core, just to make it more efficient. To be fair, you might not have short bows. If you don't have short bows, just leave them as hand weapons. They've got warbands, so they're hard to bait and make them fail a charge. That's absolutely true. Warband is fantastic. Obviously, if you haven't seen it down here. In addition, if they have the special rule, they may re-roll their charge roll, which is good. Very, very good. Furious Charge is really nice. Obviously, I like them. Single Doom Diver. Doom Divers are great. I'd recommend a second one, but it's only 1,500 points, so we can't. I don't think there's much to add here. I think this is pretty much an ideal Orcs and Goblins fair list. So I'm just going to put that in the Discord. And again, if there's anything that you'd like to tweak, do give me a shout and we can have a look at that one down the line. So that takes us on to the last list, which is Empire. And this is a spicy list. This is... You've got the artillery, double volley gun, double cannon, but then there's also 39 state troops and 3 wizard lords and a couple of characters. So I think we can do some things with this while keeping to the general theme. So. The general of the Empire, who is leadership 9, is 3 wounds at T4, only 3 attacks at weapon skill 5. That's where I really don't like it. And strength 4. Strength 4 is not a problem because Michael has gone with the Mace of Hellstorm. And the mace is, you can either use it as a basic hand weapon with magical attacks, or you can go double-handed, strength 10, AP 5, multiple wounds D6, which is pretty wild. And you can also swap between combats because it's the same weapon. There's, yeah, it's definitely good. Music Theory Wizard says, any chance a Slaanesh army can be successful? Thanks, great show. Thank you very much, Music Theory Wizard. You can go very glass cannon, but it relies on you having a local meta with very little shooting, I think. If you are playing into bricks of infantry, that sort of army gets a lot stronger because you can play down, sort of play around them. But if you're expecting to face any sort of shooting, I'm very worried about that list because all the models are quite expensive and they are very glass cannon. Like, you know, a Ruby Ring of Ruin is going to kill, what, like 5, 6 models, something like that, realistically. But, yeah, you can play it. It's just... Oh, wait, hold on. I'm talking Slaanesh Demons. Are you talking Slaanesh Demons or Slaanesh Warriors of Chaos? Because I'm more on board with Slaanesh Warriors of Chaos. Let me know. We'll get back to this and we'll pick that up in a second. So, General, with the full plate... Talisman Protection, Charm Shield. Yeah. This is interesting. I think what we're doing immediately is we're getting rid of that. And we're going for the Grandmaster. So the Grandmaster has immune to psychology, which is fine, because you can still join. Yeah, so there's nothing here stopping you from joining. And I don't think the Mace of Hellstorm is worth taking. But if you want to take it, and I'm super on board with you doing that, Mace of Hellstorm, and then let's just go for the White Cloak, because it's a Talisman of Protection, but just a little bit better. If they have any flaming attacks, you get a better ward save, which is super fine there. Yeah, great. So we've got... You do have to be on a horse, but that's okay, because you can still go in a unit. And I think I'd be going Demigryph, because that gives you still the barding, gives you +1 wound, you've got 3 attacks from the Demigryph, so you've got a character that's putting out... 7 attacks that are of reasonable value. Yeah, this is significantly spicier. You could also just go Barded Warhorse if you wanted to. Like, that's not the end of the world. In fact, let's do that because I assume you're playing with some specific models. So we'll leave it at that for now. But this will be the general. It is more expensive, but you're actually getting value out of your melee character because your weapon skill 6 and 4 attacks, which is 1 more weapon skill and 1 more attack than the basic models. Other than that, you don't really get much in the way of rules. This is only if you're joining mounted stuff and you're going to be putting it in the infantry, but that's okay. Captain of the Empire, this is Banner of Iron Resolve. It gives the unit Stubborn, which is fine. The veteran state troops are already veteran. Stubborn's fine. It's 50 points though. It's quite expensive. Is it better to just win the combat? I say I'm going to go controversial. I'm just going to say just win the combat instead of losing it better. So go shave 25 points, go War Banner. This gives you +2 combat res. Obviously, the important thing is staying alive. So you've got full plate, shield. You're on foot here. If you've got... you haven't got any points. Like going on a warhorse, not a warhorse, a barded warhorse to give you that +1 save, get you to a 2-up save is pretty good. Or a demigryph would be really good, but we're probably playing with very specific models, so I don't want to recommend too much there. So we've got 2 characters here, tweaked slightly to be just a little bit more efficient. Then we've got a Wizard Lord with Demonology, Power Scroll, no other upgrades. A Wizard Lord with Lore Familiar, Elementalism, no other upgrades. And then a Battle Magic Wizard, no other upgrades. And these are all level 4. This is such a casino. And I think it's too much of a casino for me to be comfortable with. So I think we probably drop one of these. And I think the game plan you're going with is that you're going for Elementalism to give the unit TMP and the ward save if you need it. And you're going for Demonology to hopefully cast Demonic Vessel to give them +1 attack, strength, and AP. So you'd get each model up to 2 attacks at strength 4, AP 1, which is honestly not amazing. So, yeah. Funnily enough, it doesn't actually... Oh, no, it does buff. So you get up to... I guess you technically get up to strength 11, unless it says in the core book that you're capped on strength on the Mace of Hellstrom. But getting up to 5 attacks at AP 6 with Demonic Vessel is funny there. So I think Demonology, I don't think you can dry roll. I'd be tempted to say you're going Power Scroll here and you're also going Lore Familiar. And then you're dropping the Elementalism caster, which I know is a little scary. And then the Battle Magic caster you're straight rolling, because Battle Magic has more spells that I'm a little more comfortable just going for. Is there anything that we want to pick up here in terms of spells, spellments, or magic missiles? The Book of Ashur is very good in terms of what it does. It's so expensive, though. I don't think I can justify 85 points for that. Is there anything else? Do you want to go Shroud of Iron? I feel like you've already got the Shroud of Iron picked up here. No, okay. So we're just going to go Shroud of Iron on the Veteran State Champ as well, because that gives you a 6 of ward against non-magical templates. Thinks most things are hard capped to 10. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. That sounds right. I just haven't actively looked. Cool. So, and then here, Engineers. Again, I'm assuming this is kind of the models you've got. So one with the blunderbuss, which is... The blunderbuss is fine. And then the long rifle is fine. You're just paying a lot for 1 shot each. But they're also here mostly to buff up the great cannons and the volley guns. So I don't hate it too much. And then into core, the absolute Chad of 39 state troops with the Griffin standard to give them each rank is +2 instead of +1. That's pretty cool. And then thrusting spears, light armor, shields, drilled. They have veteran built in. They're pretty okay. Valerie, you're playing your first game this Sunday, only played 40k before. Yeah, you definitely want trays. You don't have to buy trays. You can make your own. I like magnetic bases and then make some out of magnetic sheets, but you definitely want something to move your models around on. Otherwise, the game becomes very clunky. So, yeah, characters here we've sort of neatened up, and that leaves us with a lot of points to do something with. State troops. Get some trains, makes life much better. I agree. You know what? Is it dull to just put another cannon in? I think this is the way. This is the way. How about this then? So we go a 3rd cannon, and we just go minus... I don't really want to drop 2 of them. For some reason, dropping a 2nd one hurts. I think it's because... Oh no, we can drop this. Yeah, because there's going to be 2 wizards and a captain and a grandmaster in there. God, this is such a silly unit. It's, even if your trays are just a piece of cardboard, it's better than no tray. 100%. Mine are cardboard with magnetic sheet on them, and they are fit for purpose. I do play a lot of skirmishes, though, because I'm a dirty, dirty bastard. Cool. Yeah, that's that. I'm pretty happy with this list for Michael, although there's 6 points remaining. Is there anything that we can fit in? Oh, yes, that's what I was going to do. Take the light armor off these engineers. It will never matter. Either you die because you have 2 wounds at T3, or you are not in combat. And therefore it doesn't matter. So that saves you some points. So can we put one more veteran state troop back in? Hell yeah. God, they're 10 points each. That's so expensive. Yeah, that is Michael's list here. So let me just link this one into the chat. Let me put it in the correct chat here. Where are we going? Fix my list. Perfect stuff. All right, so that is all of the list that we were going to cover. There was something in chat that I wanted to pick up. Was there anything that some wood sheets and kebabs? Yep, hell yeah, wood sheets and kebab sticks. That sounds absolutely perfect. Let's just have a quick play around with the Slaanesh list, because I have played against the Slaanesh list. So Demon Prince and Keeper of Secrets. Keeper of Secrets is super squish, but you know, it's a very all-in, you know, eggs all in one basket, but that basket is incredible. So, yes, Soporific Musk gives the opponent strikes last, and you can use Enrapturing Graze. I don't know that I love that. You could also go many arms, but then you just have to use a hand weapon, which kind of sucks. Oh no, it's just +1 to the attacks. I don't think that's necessary, because what we're going for here is we're trying to play around with Spectral Doppelganger, which is 2d6 auto hits at the base strength here, which is 6, using the Impaling Claws, which are AP2 with Killing Blow and also Strikes First. Strikes First doesn't apply for assailment spells. That's been FAQ'd, but it's still, you know, your initiative 6 base, I think? 7 base, so you 10 on the charge, so you're effectively Strikes First when you cast your assailment spells. 1 in 3 games you don't roll the Spectral Doppelganger, and that sucks. But, you know, if we're playing with a theme army, sometimes you just have to deal with it, right? So here we're going a level 4 Slaanesh as well. Like, Slaanesh doesn't actually bring you much. Oh, it's +1 to charge, which is not bad. So, I think... let's come back to the caster. We'll see how the rest of the list plays out. We will see. We will see. Furies are good, but if we're going Slaanesh specifically, I don't hate the Seekers. Pretty nasty. Yeah, I was playing Ogres, and someone played that into me. It was a bad time. Will says, did you miss the Skaven list? There isn't a Skaven list, unfortunately. There is only other armies. I did rename the stream. Did it unrename? That would be a disaster. Let me just double check. Let me just have a look here. No, I renamed it to Beastmen, so apologies, there was some... No, Will, I did name it initially Skaven, and then I realised that the 2 Skaven lists that I was looking to talk about, both of them had been reviewed very recently. Oh, shit, no, that was something I was going to do. I don't know if Kev's still here, but let's have a quick look at Kev's list. Thank you for reminding me, because that was a very fun idea. Let's have a look. I think this is... Just need to tweak my capture to... This should... Come on. There we go. Now we're cooking with charcoal. So if we just put this in here and make it a little bit bigger. Boop. So, Skaven. Fix my list. Let's have a look. Because there was some pretty ridiculous Skaven in here. So Kev put a Skaven Jaile list in. And we're not going to go line by line. There's a level 4 caster here. There's a level 1 with Storm Demon as well, just for magic missiles. There's a couple of Warp Grinders. They're interesting. Giant Rats, Giant Rats, Giant Rats. Kev loves his Giant Rats. Hey, you're still here. Fantastic. 2 units of Rat Swarms. I really like Rat Swarms. Have you picked those up because I played them against you? And then double Warplock Giselles. 2 units of 25. Here's the thing. This is a logistical nightmare. I don't understand how this will ever deploy to shoot. But if you somehow make it work... you are a hero. And it's very funny, because Giselles are fantastic. They are a single shot each. They are cumbersome, so they can't stand and shoot. They are strength 6, AP 3. For one turn, you're hitting at long range, and for one turn, you're being charged. You're shooting at short range. So effectively, you get one turn hitting on 5s and one turn hitting on 4s. If we average that out, that comes to what? It's about 31 hits at strength 6, AP 3. I think that's enough that it might actually do something. The swarms are to block charges. And yep, nope, 100%. 100%. Steve says, you'll always ask me about units that aren't in my tier list because you can't read, it seems. That's fine. People do that all the time. And depending on, the day, I might even give an answer sometimes. But yeah, this is very funny. Is there any way that you could realistically buff the Giselles? You could go a Battle Magic caster. What did you go on your level 4? The level 4 is Battle Magic for Curse of Our Attraction. So you're getting that 30 to 31 up to about 35, 36 hits. That's not awful. It's so silly. Double Warlock Engineer because you legally have to. Warp Grinder to ambush, I guess. The swarms of block charges. Yeah. No, this is very fun. Do you have the models to put this on the table, Kev? I'm gonna assume no, but I would love to be surprised. That rat bastard had a unit of 3 Giselles melee to kill 10 skinks and 9 saurs this Monday. Hell yeah. People get surprised. If you charge a Giselle in the front, it has a 4-up save. It just has a 4-up save in its front arc at all times, shooting a melee. But also it has 2 wounds, because it's 2 rats, right? So it also has 2 attacks. So people will charge you, and then because you're quite wide, you're just like, oh, yeah, I've got loads of attacks, actually, and I win the combat, which is very funny. I do appreciate that. Ian says, Plague of Rust. You're already AP 3, so I think that might be overkill. I think just going for the re-rolling to hits is probably better. The shooting only killed 1 Saurus and 1 Goblin over 2 games, but they went mad in melee. Yeah, I've been there as well. Giselles are truly one of the units of all time. They're something. They really are something. But yeah, let's quickly go back to this list here. How was I doing it? Let me just fix the capture. There we go. Cool. So if we go back to the Demons list, just to like roughly flesh out what I've been looking at. So Soul Grinders are fantastic. I don't hate them. Slanesh, giving you +1 to charge is fine because they're only 6-inch move. Oh, sorry, 8-inch move. They don't have Swift Stride. That's what I was thinking. But they are fast, so you're going to reserve move them after you shoot, and they're just annoying. They are a very solid unit. So that's fine there. Demon Prince, I'm just going to make the Demon Prince the general. It's a little bit safer. It's harder to kill. Then we were looking at everything else. I don't know that I love Demonettes. Demonettes have 2 attacks at AP1 Armor Piercing 1? Armor Bane 2. Okay. So that's 2 attacks at Strength 3, AP1 Armor Bane 2. That's not great. It's not quite enough to get there. Ginger Steve, how much does Giselle team from Games Workshop? Yeah, how much is it in money? Oh god, you know what, I don't actually know. Let's just go to their website. Oops, that's not their website, but it is a great website by a cool guy. Here we go. Yes, they're Age of Sigmar and they are Chaos, which still doesn't feel right to me, but that's okay. Let's have a look at how much what would Kev be out of pocket to new ones are cheaper. The old ones are like $50 for 3. These ones are £31.50 for 3. That is a fucking disgrace. What an absolute piss take. Games Workshop prices recently, like, they've always been expensive, but this is pure unfettered greed, and I can't justify it. It's so dumb. Like, look at that, £34 for 10 infantry models. £21 for a single character. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I'm just ranting about corporate greed, which is not necessarily not necessarily good. 10 for the cheapest on eBay at the moment. Yeah. I mean, if you want to try something like that, I think I have 8, Kev, that you could borrow. You'd be more than welcome to use them for a weekend. That wouldn't be a problem at all. Yeah, so core. Let's fill out this core. How are we making it work? Seekers are Slaanesh. Seekers are pretty okay, because they've got a 3rd attack from the Steed, and they move super fast. Move 9, and they obviously have Skirmish and Swift Stride as well. They have Armor Bane 1 and Countercharge. They've got good rules, but their output is still anemic, right? It's 2 attacks at Strength 3, AP 1, Armor Bane 2, and then it's 1 attack that's poisoned at Strength 3, Armor Bane 1. So a little bit of a non-bow there, because they're poisoned attacks and Armor Bane, when you can never get those. I actually think I'm just going to go Furies, and even though their Khorne is better, because Khorne gives you +1 strength, which gets you to strength 5, Slaanesh is still pretty decent, because giving you that +1 charge is nice. And it also means they're really good at running people down. So I think, as much as it's not flavorful, if I'm looking at core, we're just going to go, here's some Furies. This is like just super filler. And then what am I doing with the rest of my points? Probably Chariots, right? So the Demon Prince, we're going to go... If we're going Furies, I feel like it's just got to be Dark Magic. For 50 teams, you're looking at £535.50. That is not something anyone should pay. That is a ridiculous amount of money. For like, if someone wants to try that army, just play it in Warhol. Just play it online, get it out your system, and then don't waste your money and your life. I don't think there's anything I particularly want to put on the Demon Prince. I think keeping him cheap is fine. Oh, actually, that's not true. Demonic Gifts, Aether Blade for the turn-off armor savers. That's pretty cool. That's pretty decent. So this is probably the most efficient characters that I can put together here. And then we've got 314 points remaining. Chariots, maybe? I feel like the Chariots have more play than most of the other stuff that Slaanesh have. Someone pointed out to me that they have Countercharge, which I just missed because... yeah, they are what they are. Cool. So, Seeker Chariots. For Rob's team events, it's a funny counter to monsters if someone brings the monster list. Here's the thing. Is it even a counter? Let's do some quick maths, right? So, you've got 50 shots. Turn 1. Let's assume you go first. Let's go optimal. So, you're getting a third of those as hits. So, 50 divided by 3. Because you're not in range for Curse of Arrow Attraction. So, turn 1, you're getting 16.6 hits and half them wound. So, you've got 8.3 wounds after you wound on 4s, and then let's assume we're looking at a 3-up, 5-up. Let's just be kind to ourselves. So AP3 divided by 6 by 5, and then divided by 3 times 2. Huh. Alright, that does do 4.6 wounds. So in the optimal situation, you half kill a dragon at long range without buffs. Oh, that's maybe. Maybe there is something there. That is 1,000 points, though. Yeah, that's... I don't know how I feel about that. You could kill a dragon in 2 rounds pretty comfortably. But what if... Okay, let's assume that they have a 2-up, 5-up, because they're going to be taking good dragons, right? So they've got like a 2-up, 5-up, 5-up. So we've got a 16.6 hits divided by 2. So you got your 8.3 wounds. You're dividing by 3 by 2, so you're wounding... you're getting through the 5-up. And then divided by 3 times 2, divided by 3 times 2. Okay, so against the triple save, you're only doing 2.5 wounds. That feels more right. But, that would be turn 2, when the dragon's in half range. You're going to be... Let me just do some quick maths here. Divided by 2 times 3. And then divided by 2, divided by 6 by 7. I feel like I've done something wrong here, because I've somehow ended up with a smaller number. Napkin maths, you maybe do 6 wounds across 2 turns. Music Theory Wizard bringing a Goblin Poison list. Yeah, that also works. Oh, sorry, you're bringing a Goblin Poison list against 140 archers / 40 spearmen Tomb King list in S-Bot 2. You're thinking max flame attacks. Any tips? 50 for 2.5 wounds. That isn't a triple save, that rat bastard. But yes, it is a little difficult. Are you... So you're playing into the 140 archers, 40 spearmen. Are you playing against... what's he called? He's called Shadow Sun in New Recruit, right? So you are in... you must be in East, right? Or is it West? I can never remember which way around this is. Let's have a look here. So, regional West pairings. No, yes. So round 3. Ah, Troy the Wizard. That makes sense. 3 wounds is not worth £535. No, if it was only the £500, you could take it. Yeah. That's super reasonable. That's the savvy business acumen that I've come to expect from you. You will kill a Chaos Lord and Dragon, so that's an option. If you wanted to run that list and only pair into Chaos Lord and Dragon, you could do that. That's truly one of the things you could do. Let's have a look at Troy's list, because I know the Shadow Sun list pretty well. Okay, so let's unlock this so I can size it correctly. Okay, Troy, let's see what you're working with. So you've got Big Boss, Odd Knob, Weird Knob. Okay. With an Idol of Gork, this is basically a setup that I played at my first tournament, actually. So the Idol of Gork is +3 inches to your range. So when you change into the line spell, you get a slightly more respectable range on the Magic Missile line spell. It's the Lore of Gork that you can swap into. Ruby Ring of Ruin, and you're going to roll for Pillar of Flame and Fireball. And then you're relatively beefy. You're on a Wyvern. You're not bad. This is spells heavy, that's for sure. Elementalism, Double Power Scroll, Lore Familiar. Yep, that's good. And then you've got the Odd Knob, the War Magic, Idol of Mork for the Dispel, Fungus Wine, Glowy Green Amulet. All of that is good stuff. You've got 82 Night Goblins. And then you've got Squig Hoppers, Doom Divers. What do you think about Mortuary for 12 50-point tournaments with 3 times Necrosphinx? Is it worth a try? Can you fit 3 Necrosphinxes in Mortuary Cult? It's like you could definitely go some sort of T6 spam. I don't necessarily think that it's the strongest way of playing Tomb Kings, but it's one of the ways you can play Tomb Kings. Like, just go Monster Mash T6 spam, and at 12 50 points, triple Necrosphinx would be hard to deal with. Maybe double Necrosphinx and a Dragon would be better. But yeah, I'm interested to hear how you go with it. If you do play it, let us know. Yeah, so I think the difficulty here is it's going to be very difficult for you to interact with your opponent, because his shooting is significantly better. He's got more shots. He gets to shoot them even if he moved. Fanatics don't really do anything to his list unless he positions poorly and he has his casters behind the unit and you can fanatic through and tag them. That's something, but that doesn't seem likely. I know Flacco is good enough that that's not the sort of obvious mistake he'd make. I feel like this might be a game where you just try and snipe out characters, basically, with the Doom Divers. The problem is, because the characters are on chariots, they have so many wounds that you're realistically not going to kill them with the Doom Divers. So you kind of need to try and just kill the small bits of his list. So if we just go back to the pairing here, we have a look at the Tomb Kings list. So there's triple Mort Priest, all level 2 with Elementalism. There's Royal Herald, Tomb King. There's a Chariot, there's Archers, and there's the Royal House. Okay, so if you kill the Chariot, 43, and the Skirmish is 36. That doesn't get you close enough to win anything. So realistically, you need to try it. I think the way that I would do it, and this is like a gimmicky way of playing, because I'm looking at it and going, I don't know that I can win by playing the normal way. So I'm going to try and snipe out the Mortuary Priest by scattering the Doom Divers and then using the Doom Diver correction to land on top of the Mortuary Priest, assuming he puts them in the unit, and at that point he then doesn't pass his Lookout Sirs. That's kind of like the weird niche I'm going for, because I think if you just go for a straight head-on fight, maths-wise, you should just lose every time. Yes, you both have poison shooting. His is longer range. His can shoot after it moves. His is backed up by all of these characters that, like, if he ever makes it into combat, you just disappear. And he's not got enough points outside of the unit for you to kill to get a draw, unless he puts the... If he puts the characters outside of the unit and you can scatter onto them, you know, you're golden. But that's... Yeah. That's about it. I don't know. It's a difficult one. The problem is nobody was aware, or the general public wasn't aware of this list before we got to the point where people were playing with it. So this is the event where nobody's ready for it, and it's poised to potentially win the tournament, right? It's not ever going to do as well as this because now people are aware of it and have sort of started brewing lists to deal with it. So, yeah. Let's just have another look at your list, see if there's anything I've missed. Yeah, I think you want to deny points as much as possible. If you can force a draw and then try and Fanatic him to death, not Fanatic, Doom Diver / Fanatic him to death, I think that's probably the way that I would take it. I definitely wouldn't poke this weird knob out there. I'd stand behind a building or a wood. I'd shoot my Pillar of Fire, and then I'd just hide for the rest of the game, which is pretty sad. Can you shoot after TMP? You can, but you can't volley fire because you've moved. So that's the difference. Your opponent can volley fire because Royal Host have a rule that let you volley fire, even if they move, which is very good, and it's kind of the whole thing that makes that list work. So, yeah. I think your best, like I said, it's a gimmicky play, but I'd try and just get a draw or an 11-9 win by sniping him out with Doom Divers. I think that's my sort of go-to. All right, well, I have a video to edit for a Team England announcement that's going to be dropping on Saturday. That's exciting. I also have some Cold War nights to finish painting, so I have to go and do that because I'm being picked up at 7:20 tomorrow for my tournament, and that's not complaint, that is appreciation, because it is so much nicer to get a lift than to have to make my own way there via train. But it's been real, Super Chiefs. Thank you, one and all. Appreciate you. I'm going to try and get these done every couple of weeks, I think. They're a lot of fun. People like them, so that's probably how I will do. Skulls. Oh, he said, can I drop his list again? Okay. Yeah, I'll do that in a second. All right.